Hey everyone, it's Norm Farrar, aka the Beard Guy here, and welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the rise of the micro brands.
Lunch with Norm. Lunch with Norm. Lunch with Norm. Lunch
All right, so today is a special episode. This has been pre-recorded. There won't be any engagement on this one. However, if you do have questions, make sure you ask them and just go to our profile page, or it's not my profile page, my fan page, or over in the group, and we'll make sure that we answer your questions. But on today's show, we've got Gary Huang on, and Gary has managed multi-million dollar sourcing companies for clients in the US and Latin America. He's also worked with hundreds of Chinese suppliers. He's seen the good, the bad, the ugly of China sourcing. And I know we've talked about that a little bit on the podcast. But on today's podcast, this is really cool. We're going to be talking to Gary and find out what the common denominators are from 30 Amazon and e-commerce experts. He'll give us the breakdown and figure out what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. So, Kelsey, where are you?
Hello. Welcome, everyone.
It's so different,
It's a little different, yeah, but
isn't
you
it?
know what? It's okay.
It's
I can roll with
okay.
it. Yeah. So if you're watching this and you're not skipping ahead, then stick with me. We've got our Lunch with Norm Facebook group that you guys can always join. It's Lunch with Norm, Amazon FBA, and e-commerce collective. Uh, if you're watching this right now, you can go ahead and comment below. If you have any questions, like the usual lives that we do, you can comment below just like usual, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. And also, if you're watching this from the YouTube or Facebook, all of the replays, all of the highlights go straight over to the YouTube channel, Norman Farrar. So there you can find everything, catch up on an episode you missed, and yeah, that's about it.
Well, no, I'm a little bit sad.
Oh
Um,
yes, we have to like and subscribe, share,
I wasn't talking
your
about
friend.
smashing the like button or subscribing or ringing bells or whatever you do. I was talking about, because this is pre-recorded, there's no Wheel of Kelsey.
Oh, that's right. It's a
No
shame.
Wheel of Kelsey. Oh no. All right. So let's get started here.
All
So
right.
if you do have questions, like we said, just put them into the Facebook in the comments section, and we will get back to them. So if that's it for now, let's sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee, and enjoy the show. All right, Gary,
Hi,
I,
Norm.
I haven't seen you in such a long time.
Yes, it's been ages. It's been
Yeah,
ages. How's it going?
good, thanks. Hey, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you're up to?
Definitely. Well, my name is Gary Huang. I'm an e-commerce Amazon seller myself, and thank you for the introduction. In my prior career, I was a sourcing professional based in China in Shanghai for over 10 years. And After I did that for a while, I kind of, in my life journey, I got married. We're starting a family. So I decided to, delve into, get back into e-commerce. Prior to going to China, just very quickly, I actually started selling on e-commerce back in the 2000s, and at that time, eBay was the number one platform. There were, eBay shows like eBay Live in Vegas, and I used to go to these shows to level up and talk to other successful sellers and to learn from people. So long story short, the genesis, the reason why I created Seven Figure Seller Summit was in 2018. My wife and I were expecting our first kid. So I couldn't fly out to these in-person events, and I decided, why not invite these seven-figure sellers, these e-commerce sellers, to teach me, because I can't travel, to teach me online, to teach everyone else online. So that's the creation story why I created the Seven-Figure Seller Summit. And who knew what happened, in the last year, and everyone's in lockdown. I know that Norm, you and Kelsey, you guys are locked down, and I'm in Japan, but I think I'm just trying to bring light to a lot of the negativity that we see on the news. And there are a lot of people that are still successful, and you can really build a business. You don't have to jeopardize your health. You don't have to go out and with e-commerce. So that's kind of why I created the Seven Figure Seller Summit.
Oh, very good. So tell us a little bit more about when is it going to take place?
Definitely. So Norm is one of the guest speakers, and the summit is coming up in February. So it will launch on February 8th until the 12th. It's a 1 week summit, and there will be 5 days. So each day will be a different phase. So it's kind of like the natural progression of the growth of an e-commerce business. So we have day one is all about the mindset and the fundamentals of a seven-figure seller. Day two is about marketing and branding. Day three is about scaling your business. Day four is about profitability, so you can keep more money in your pocket. And day five is about exits, which is the end game for a lot of e-com sellers. So how to structure your business to maximize
So important.
the sale. Exactly. So
Yeah.
so I'm inviting a lot of very of the top seven-figure Amazon sellers, e-commerce experts, and I really love that quote by Jim Rohn, who said, "You are the average of the five people that you spend the most time with." So even though we may be stuck at home, we can still surround ourselves with like-minded entrepreneurs and level up. So I'm super excited for this, and I hope everyone can join us online at sevenfiguresellersummit.com.
So Kelsey would never admit this, but just based on that quote, he's got to be a lot like his dad. Kelsey's going to not say anything. Nope, he's not coming on. He's just turned red. All right. So let's talk a little bit about these 30 people that you've talked to and some of the common denominators. Like, first of all, what was the mindset?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think it was super valuable just being able to dive deep into a lot of the mindset, the thinkings of these entrepreneurs. And what I learned sometimes was surprising, and sometimes some things were common sense. But at the end of the day, these successful entrepreneurs, I discovered they're not superhuman. Okay, they're not like Superman or Superwoman. In most cases, they're kind of like you and me, Norm and Kelsey, but I discovered there's certain common threads that were running through them in their habits, in their mindsets, and then some of the blueprints they created to scale their businesses, the marketing and branding. So I thought it would be cool today if I can share some of the top takeaways that I learned. I'm not saying this is like the magic formula, because for everyone it's different, right? So I hope that if I shared some of these nuggets today, it might help people. And if people want to check out the full summit coming up, they can learn even more. So to answer your question, Nor, I think in terms of mindset, probably the top takeaway that I got from this is that successful entrepreneurs, they'll get around excuses. Okay, so I don't know about you, but one of the sure things when I'm running my business is I always face challenges. There's this problem that comes up, these setbacks. 100%, it's going to happen, right? And what sets these seven-figure sellers apart is that when they're faced with these trials and tribulations, is they find ways to get around these quote unquote excuses, right? So they didn't throw in the towel, they didn't give up when these problems hit. And some people may have given up, and they may have stopped, but these people always found ways around these excuses. So case in point, seven-figure seller Chris Davey. He is from UK originally, based in China now. He shared that it was a pain in the butt to deal with European VAT, or value added tax, and all the bureaucracy, all the administrative work and time it took. And then he spent dozens of hours, if not more, filling out all of these requirements so that he can legally sell on Amazon Europe's marketplace. Some people may have given up if they face these challenges. They made the excuse, hey, it's not worth it, or they don't know what to do. But Chris was determined to get around these excuses, and he found a way to get it done. And the main takeaway here is that he actually sees these challenges as barriers that actually keep out his competitors. Okay, so especially competitors from certain countries like China and other countries where he feels they probably aren't willing to go through the whole process. So that means it's more business for him. Okay, so That's one of the biggest takeaways. Okay, and then furthermore, another seven-figure seller I spoke with, Nick Katz, he's based in Japan. He sells in Amazon Japan and Europe. He revealed that you don't necessarily have to set foot in a country to sell there. Okay, I mean that's an excuse many people say. Oh, I'm not based in the U.S. I can't sell there. Or I'm not based in Europe. I don't know the language. To learn about the cultural differences in Japan, for example, Nick used an example of Japanese kitchens. If you're selling kitchen products, which are designed differently from Western style kitchens. So the kitchens here in Japan, they're smaller, different types of appliances like more rice cookers, etc. He shared that you don't have to board a plane to fly to Japan to see these kitchens in person. You can see what a Japanese kitchen is like just by searching on YouTube. If you search around, you can see, what people use, what the kitchens are like. So, I mean, there's more examples than I have time to list, but I think the number one takeaway in terms of mindset is that successful entrepreneurs, they find ways around excuses and they always find a way to get things done.
Yeah, resilience.
Exactly.
That's what I find when I'm talking to entrepreneurs, especially on my other podcast. I know this guy. You've got these people that have had just incredible hardships, and at the end of the day, they've failed, and their failure has made them the success, and it's all due to resilience. Do you find that Amazon sellers, so e-com sellers, it might not be their like the first time that they're selling a product, but people fail. Do you find that some of these big sellers fail occasionally, or and then what do they do?
Yeah. In terms of failure, in my opinion, I see failure as part of success. Mm-hmm. Failure is not an end game. It's like what you learn from it and what you take away from it. So I was talking to Liran Hirschkorn, and then he really said that failure it's part of success. It's part of the journey. It's not the end all. The end game, right? And I also I interviewed Kellyanne Fidio, and she's a seven-figure seller who exited her business. She's a mompreneur as well. And she said that her first product, it wasn't a home run. Her first product was, maybe it was a base hit. Maybe it got her started and she learned from it. And some products didn't work, right? But then over time, she kept at it with the resilience. And then she was able to achieve success, by sticking with it, by learning from her past mistakes, her quote unquote failures. So I really don't see, failure as an end game. It's part of success.
Yeah, and I said failure, but I really look at them as, and I say them because it never is just one, but it leads you to success. It's a learning experience, and it's more of a hurdle or an obstacle. I mean, you're going to get to your end game. You just got to get over the hurdle. So at the time it happens, a lot of the times you might want to crawl up in the fetal position, but I've said this too. I've talked to some younger entrepreneurs. I'm an old guy. About resilience.
Young at heart, Norm. You're
young at heart. That's a nice way of saying it. But there's a lot of people that think that they got to get out there. They got to be successful right off the bat, and that's how they're measuring you. Is based on the success. Not about knowledge or not about your years in the game. It's about that first hit it's not about that, and you can be an absolute success, but a horrible failure, and I mean that by being a terrible employer, or somebody who just doesn't understand the game, who doesn't know how to source. And even though they're doing 10 million, and this is a true story, $10 million a year, but losing $100,000. How would you like that one? That's crazy. But, these are the things that with Amazon sellers or e-com sellers, it can happen. But guess what? That $10 million seller, he went out and he sought out, it's late at night, he sought out the expertise to get him to the next level. So now he's a very, very experienced seller, and he's very profitable. But okay, so let's talk a few more consistents. What else made that great or e-com seller.
Right. And Norm, you actually brought up an interesting point, and I wanted to jump ahead, talking
Yeah.
about profitability, right? Because many sellers, they're just paying attention to that top line, that vanity figure, I want to create a seven-figure business, $1 million. And then, sometimes, a seven-figure business may not be profitable, right? So I feel another top takeaway is you have to focus on the bottom line, not just the top line, right? And I interviewed Anna Hill, who's a CPA, certified public accountant who specializes in helping e-com sellers with their accounting. And she said that the biggest mistake that she sees sellers make is trying to grow their business only by increasing sales. So top line revenue, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're profitable. In fact, quite the opposite. Some seven-figure sellers that she works with, they're actually in the red, right? They're not making any profits, but they're losing money. So you definitely want to know your numbers. And similarly, seven-figure seller Nate Ginsburg says this is one of the only times the 80-20 rule does not apply here. And then he recommends hiring a bookkeeper, and it can be part-time, to track your finances and to put together a profit and loss statement and a balance sheet. And then another seven-figure seller, Brandon Dubsky, he agrees, and he, in fact, reviews his profitability dashboard every day. So this way, he knows exactly how much profit is made in every transaction. And then also, it helps him recognize the product life cycle, as the data is going to tell him if a product is shifting from a growing product to a mature product to a declining product. And knowing your numbers is one of the most important aspects if you want to sell your business one day, right? I mean, I think a lot of people, that's the end game. It could be, your business is probably your number one most valuable asset. It's probably worth more than your car or maybe even your house, if you're a bigger seller, right? So another seven-figure seller shared with me, Dave Bryant. He said that when he sold his business, the business value is based on your profits, okay, which is your bottom line. It's not based on your revenue, okay? So by cutting his expenses, he was able to significantly add tens of thousands of dollars to his business selling price. So the takeaway is that you really got to know your numbers so you can profitably scale your business and sell it. And then this is one of the only times the 80-20 rule does not apply here.
Yeah, that's great advice. And there's Tim Francis was on the podcast. I don't know if you know Tim, but he's got a course, very good course. Actually, imagine this, accounting, and it's actually amusing. So, but he's got I think it's about 14 hours worth of video on knowing your numbers. And my dog just burst in here. Hi, Dallas. So he's got this course about knowing your numbers. And it is a course that, when people come on, like we have a few different companies. One of the people is a very creative person, a great sales and marketing person. They're not accountants. They take the course. Everybody's got to take this course because it's so valuable and it's so good that you got to know where you're going. You got to know, you've got to know how to get from point A to point Z, and everything in between. You don't have to be the expert. You hire the bookkeeper, accountant, to make sure that's all under control. But it's so important. One of the other things when you're talking about knowing your numbers and your bottom line, you're in the game sourcing.
Yes.
If you can negotiate and get better terms with and logistics, so the whole supply chain management side, if you can break up the shipments, smaller shipments, so you don't have the cash flow out there, it's all about cash flow. At the end of the day, and these are things that you learn over time. It's not receiving payments on PayPal or using Amazon's foreign exchange. It's getting a better foreign exchange service, so you're not paying 4%. That extra, you sell $1 million, that 4% is a huge amount of money. But I can't agree more. You got to know your numbers, and you've got to dig in to your actual account. It's really tough when you're growing a business to do that, though.
It is, and it's funny that you mentioned that, Norm, because I actually made that mistake with the foreign exchange when I first started selling internationally. I just took the easy way out. I'm like, oh, okay, Amazon will handle that exchange to change that currency for us. And then at the end of the year, my accountant, he sat me down with the numbers, and we spent like thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars more, for a six-figure business, right? I think it was like Amazon's charging like 3.9%, and now we're using a third party currency exchange. We're using Ping Pong Payments. They're one of our sponsors as well, and they were able to cut it down to about 1%, even less, depending on your volume. So that's like 3% directly to your bottom line, and that's huge, right?
Just do the math. Do $1 million, do $100,000 in sales.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
yeah, it's crazy, and that's just that. Now imagine if you've gone over and you've negotiated your cash flow, or here's something else: inventory strategies this year. So we're trying to order more, save half of it over in the Chinese manufacturer's warehouse for free, hopefully. But let's say that we have to pay a small amount for it to be there. You're getting the larger bulk buy. So let's say you go from 1,000 to 2,000, you're getting a better price. You're negotiating what used to be maybe 30% that you'd have to pay up front and the rest at the dock. The norm right now is that I can pay 20% to keep that extra 1,000 units in stock, pay 20% at the dock, and pay either 30 or 60 days out for the product that's coming over. That's going to save a ton of cash. And all, for the most part, we had to do was ask.
Definitely, definitely. That helps free up your cash flow. I mean, that's huge, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can afford to reinvest that in like PR press releases and marketing, and even pay yourself, right?
Yeah.
So
Hey, something else too. Afalabi, who's my partner over at Honu, some of the things that we've talked about before, and it's perfect for this podcast. Not allowing your don't negotiate the packaging into the cost when you're sourcing. Your Chinese manufacturers are not packaging specialists. You can go and get the packaging for so much less, and most of the time, not if it's 500 units, but we would buy 1,000. If it's 1,000, we would buy 2,500. If it's 2,500, we'd buy 5,000. Wherever we'd see the next price break, the manufacturer is going to allow you to store it for free because they want the business, and you've probably cut your packaging costs in half, at least in half, by doing it yourself. I mean, that's just different ways that you can save money.
for sure, that's a great tip.
Okay, so you've talked about a few sellers. Let's go on. What are some other amazing things that you've learned?
Yeah, and so going forward, in terms of finding products, I think this is one of the biggest challenges for a lot of e-commerce sellers, finding profitable products. I'm, as of now, what it may have worked in 2016 to rank and sell on Amazon, it doesn't work well today, right? And the old way of just relying on research tools to punch in the numbers to come up with product ideas, they don't work the same when there's literally millions of sellers using the same tools and the same methodology. So as the saying goes, if you start out from the same place as everyone else, you end up at the same place as everyone else, right? So what might look like a profitable product opportunity now can be a flooded market 3-4 months down the line, when the hundreds of other competitors are using the same tools and criteria, and then shipping them to Amazon. So I was talking to our mutual friend, Tim Jordan, who's a 7-figure seller. And then he says that looking on Amazon alone can lead to saturated niches. So Tim thinks differently. So he uses external sites such as Pinterest, such as Cratejoy, to find profitable product ideas and keywords. And then Tim loves subscription sites such as Cratejoy because they actually source new and trending products that can be months or even years ahead of mainstream demand found on Amazon. And they actually have teams of, people that pay attention to the latest trends. They do forecasting and all that stuff. That's like beyond, most, you and, well, beyond me. I don't know about Norm. You have a lot of your corporate experience, but most sellers, it's beyond that. So they can, these subscription sites, they can find products very early in the product life cycle. And then if you can get in on this, you're able to capitalize on the demand before everyone else when it hits Amazon. And after getting these ideas, Tim uses tools like Helium 10 to check the keyword search volume to make product decisions. So even though there's early demand for these products, the products sometimes are not there yet on Amazon. So, no, he doesn't start out on Amazon like everyone else, because that means he's going to be stuck looking at saturated niches. And then similarly, Chris Davey, he uses non-Amazon sites such as Etsy in his product niches to find out what customers are searching for, to gauge interest and to gauge product demand. And then not only that, he goes on Reddit. So he goes deep into the subreddits to get feedback on new product designs before he even manufactures them. So, this is kind of like the whole lean startup methodology, what they call the minimum viable product, or MVP. Principle, where you invest like the minimum amount of time and money in a kind of like a hypothetical product in order to test it. So if you can validate it using real customer feedback without committing to thousands of dollars in a purchase order and months to manufacture it overseas and shipping it, then you're really shortcutting this whole process. You're taking a lot of the risk out of the equation. So, these are some of the ways that I'm seeing sellers, go away from just looking at the traditional ways of finding product ideas, and then even in real life, right? I mean, nowadays, we're not traveling as much, but I mean, just keep your eyes open, right? See what people are using now. There's these new trends, homeschooling, working from home, going outdoors more. There's a lot of product opportunities sitting under our noses. So I really encourage people not to just start from Amazon and the same research tool as everyone else, because you'll end up at the same place as everyone else. So definitely, get off of Amazon to find your profitable product ideas.
Yeah, we were talking, who was it, the other day, and they were saying go to like Dragon's Den. Well, I mentioned that. They said Shark's Tank, and see what some of those ideas, what they've come up with. Sometimes it's not worth it, because it would just be too hard to bring to market, or going to crowdfunding sites. And those are some other areas where, hey, look, if you see a successful crowdfunding site, not knock it off. I mean, you're asking for trouble, but if you can come up with something similar, that would be, something that, and if you see it's successful, that's a way that you could tap into that. But anyway, you know what? And this is the story of my life. I thought, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to source some very unique product. So I went, I got the perfect packaging. I thought was going to be the best, I outsmarted the market. Yeah. I go to, this is 2014. So at the height of this Amazon thing, right? I went to one of these big events, 2,000 people. Guess what product that they spotlight?
Garlic press.
No, the product that I was sourcing, that I had coming in, and guess what market got instantly saturated? Those are the you were talking about resilience.
Yeah.
Getting up, fetal position. As soon as I saw it on stage, I went, oh, no, what are they doing? Yeah, but that happened, and it was just like, oh, my gosh. I had about 45 to 60 days of, being the main player in that market.
Yeah. That happened to me as well, Norm. I think it was like 2016. I was using Jungle Scout like everyone else to source product ideas. At that time, I found this really good product. It was a posture support brace. So it's like that thing to keep your posture straight when you're in front of the keyboard. So I was sourcing it for $2. I was selling it for $20. We were doing like 10, 15 sales a day. I mean, if I would give myself advice, I would have like collected customer info, like email list. And the other thing is, it wasn't even a 4-star product because there was issues with comfort, with chafing, different sizing issues. People were complaining, returning. But anyways, so the next year, Jungle Scout published their top products to sell in 2018, and this was on the list. So literally, you had the whole flood of people coming in, and I was pushed down, and it just didn't work out at the end. So definitely, I learned from that. I would give myself that advice. Don't just, rely on the research tool to find the product. And yeah, definitely get off of Amazon to find these profitable product ideas because they are out there. And, the whole world is changing so quickly, especially right now.
So, what are your thoughts on selling strictly on Amazon or trying to look at multiple platforms to sell on? What are your
Right.
thoughts?
Right. So I'm selling on Amazon and I also have a Shopify store for one of my products for a kitchen product. And I'm just getting like it's like 90+% sales, even more on Amazon. So I mean, Shopify, it's good if you can drive traffic, if you can, market and do all that good stuff. I just feel that Amazon is a low hanging fruit that's more accessible for most people starting out. But that's just me. I'm
Mhm.
curious, what do you think about that, Norm?
I've heard people talk about being only on Amazon and become an expert at one. Um, I really love breaking up my sales. Uh, like for Shopify, or I have pet products, so throw some on Chewy. Those are just extra sales, and they could be quite a few extra sales. We've got one pet product that's in a retailer, so multiple retailers. I got no problems with it. Matter of fact, a product, one of the products that we're involved with, it sells very little on Amazon. Very little. Probably about 5%. It's an
Mm,
8-figure product and it
mm,
sells on e-tailers and retail outlets.
mm,
So it was kind of funny because it was a premium product. You would think Amazon would just be eaten up, but nope. And this is actually, I was going to talk about this, the importance of building the brand. I've had people on here that strictly are retail arbitrage or wholesalers. They just, competing on price, compared to people who spend a lot of money on building a brand and go really wide on it. What did you find out with these people, these 30 people, about brand or no brand thoughts?
definitely. Well, I mean, branding, as of right now, it's more critical than ever, especially if you want to rank your products, if you want to get reviews, if you want to sell your business for a higher multiple. It's so important right now given the increased competition, and then the fact that Amazon, it gives more weight to external traffic that drives sales as well. So one of the ecom experts I spoke with was Dave Huss, and then he is a Facebook's ads expert and also ecom seller himself. He spent over $400,000 on Facebook ads for his own e-commerce business, and he works with a number of 7, 8-figure e-commerce sellers. And then in his experience, he shared that building an audience or a list on Facebook, it's kind of like bringing a gun to a knife fight. Okay, it's like you can launch to that list, you can rank new products on page one on Amazon, and also you can use your list to get reviews in a white hat way that's
Mhm.
compliant with Amazon terms of service, right? So I think that's one of the critical parts of building a brand, is building your list. And then another seller, Chris Davey, again, he shared that his brand is like a roadmap that really helps him decide what products to launch to market, and then he can map out his product portfolio based on what products would complement his brand and what products to avoid. And from the selling perspective, having a tight brand of products can help you get a higher multiple if you decide to exit your business. According to Corin Woodmass, he's the FEA broker, and he helps Amazon sellers exit for 7 and 8 figures. And then he says this is in contrast to having a hero product that generates the lion's share of sales, and some other minor products that just trickle in. So yeah, that's one of the key takeaways. You definitely need to to build a brand. So this way you can differentiate yourself from competitors. You can kind of build a moat around your business if you have that list. And if it's a tightly knit brand portfolio, you can sell your business for a higher multiple because buyers like that.
Right. Uh, did the sellers talk about automation, scale, SOPs, anything like that?
Yes, automation, scale, and SOP. One of the, well, actually, okay, one thing is building a superstar team. So not necessarily automation, but building a team because trying to be a one man or one woman show. That's, I mean, you're going to be your own bottleneck. So um, before this whole pandemic, when I traveled to Chiang Mai, Thailand, and I met up with Nate Ginsburg. He's a seven-figure seller. He's a digital nomad, and he sold his Amazon business for nearly $1 million a few years ago. So I asked him, how did you build your business and sell it for almost seven figures? And he said it was because of his team. He said he had a superstar team. He couldn't have done it himself. And then he really hired for his weaknesses. So, for example, Nate, he's an ideas person, but he's not so detail oriented that he admitted. So he said he hired people to build a team that were detail oriented to fill in those gaps to make his business stronger. So I also I wanted to dig deeper into learning the benefits working with the superstar team, and learn that not only does your team support you, but you can learn valuable information working with them. And for example, CJ Rosenbaum, he runs a law firm that helps Amazon sellers protect their brands and get their accounts back from suspensions. He said that he would have meetings with his team every day to learn what's working and what's not working because they're on the front line. They're interfacing with his clients. So CJ's team is, with meeting clients every day or talking to clients every day. So they know the customers' key pain points and they know their goals, right? So this is super valuable information that helps CJ tailor his services to meet their demands and to grow his business. So I mean, maybe Kelsey, if he's on the front line, he's on the he's accessing a lot of the information from your audience as well. So I'm sure that could be useful information for you, Norm. And at the same time, I have a small remote team as well, and I don't know about you and the people listening, but one of my struggles is trying to manage the team remotely. We're not in the same place, we're not in the same time zone, and how to motivate them to perform better. So to build a strong relationship with his team, I interviewed Mike Jackness, who's a seven-figure seller. And then he, before the pandemic, he would visit his team of VAs, of virtual assistants in the Philippines every year. And then he spends time with them in person. And then he would work with them in the same office. He spends time socializing with them outside the office over meals, over karaoke, and team building activities. So I think that that's one of the beauties of running an online business is you're able to find good talent affordably all over the world to build out that superstar team to kind of fill in those gaps. I'm thankful for my own team, right? I mean, I can't interview 30 people, like create a website and do Facebook ads and follow up. So it's very valuable to have a superstar team to fill in those gaps, especially your weaknesses, so you can work on your business, not just in your business.
Yeah, Tomer Rabinovich was on just a couple of weeks ago, and he had a different approach, which I thought was very unusual. Mm-hmm. And he wanted to keep the cost down, but he hired somebody that had no experience. So he would train from the ground up and then get them to do the work. I'm kind of the opposite. I'll go and find the experts, but they'll be niche experts. So experts in Facebook ads, experts in this, it may be in creative, experts in PPC, and there'll be 5 or 10, 15 different people, but they're not full-time. I do have full-time VAs, but for the majority of our operation, there are web designers, graphic designers, people who create posts, people who do the Amazon posting. And it's just where they are experts. And I find that works. Another thing that we talk about with our group and this is with different companies, and some companies can't do this, but how do I afford a quality team? Well, one of the ways that, again, this is done is you can have a really great person in your neighborhood. So, I live in rural Toronto, 2 hours north of Toronto. And, to have that person, well, Kelsey's straight upstairs now because of COVID, but, to have somebody that could work directly with me and then they manage the team. That way, instructions go over to them, they delegate out to everybody else. And I know that I can trust them. It's not that I can't trust remote people, but it's just being able to communicate with somebody and get it done, and they can report back. Very easy. The other thing that is very unusual, and I've done this before, have you ever heard of dynamic equity?
No. What's that?
It is so cool. So let's say that you've got a hyper growth company or you are accelerating and you can't bring on the talent. You physically can't afford the cash flow. That magic word again, right? Cash flow.
Yeah.
So you might want to go out and find an incredible social media person, but they're 3 times the cost, or somebody who writes content, or a marketing person who you just couldn't afford. An operations manager, somebody that's going to write all the SOPs, an HR person, because you need all these people. Well, what you can do is evaluate and assign a dollar amount, and then they work the hours. They don't get paid. That's the magic. They don't get paid. And you're not abusing anybody. They get paid tenfold at the end of the day. So they're basically working for you. So you get a much better, a higher quality standard than you ever could afford. You've assigned that dollar amount, and then you have a valuation of your company when you hit the certain level that you need to hit, and you assign proportionately the equity to those people. It's beautiful.
How do you negotiate that so that they're willing to accept no money up front?
You would not believe it. It was, you know what? The company that I set up doing this, there was not a no. There was not a no. A matter of fact, probably listening to this, there's one of the companies that we've set up is set up like that, and they're working. They have been working since 3 years now. And so they might subsidize their stuff, what they're doing. But
Yeah.
the deal is that this is, how we're going to work this out. And at the end of the day, when we sell the company, it'll be proportionate. So anyways, there's a great book on dynamic equity, and it's a quick read. And man, it's not for everybody and it's not for every company, but for hypergrowth companies that just can't afford hiring exceptional professionals, that's one way to do it.
Awesome. Well, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, just a thought.
Yeah. Excellent.
Okay, so there was one other thing, marketing. What were these people? How were they marketing different than the average?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think one of the key things, when we talk about marketing for Amazon is PPC, right? So when it comes to PPC, it's all about the keywords. And for keywords for PPC campaigns, one of my biggest takeaways is you have to balance the data with common sense so you don't pay the idiot tax. Okay. So when it comes to sponsored search for PPC, I mean, many people are struggling, myself included, to make sure we're profitable, right? So when I interviewed Stefano Starkill, he was a 7-figure Amazon seller and founder of Zon Tools. Stefano shared that in the initial 6 to 12 months of running a PPC campaign, his aim is only to break even. And his goal is to mine the keyword data, the keyword research. This is super valuable. So you're getting this direct from Amazon for the exact search terms that convert. So the reason in terms of profitability is that the lack of market data and the fact that Amazon nowadays it's a pay to play game. Many of the sellers I've spoken to, including 8-figure seller Bernie Thompson, he's the founder of Pluggable.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, Bernie is awesome. I mean, he said the same thing. It's literally pay to play. That's what I keep hearing. And the more you pay in PPC, the better the ranking of your product. And then only Stefano says only after the initial 6 to 12 month period will he decide whether to shift the aim from a break even to profitability. Okay, so in addition, when it comes to keyword selection, he recommends using your brain, okay, not just relying on a formula based on the number of clicks, the conversion rate, etc. He says that every week you have to download your search term report, manually review each keyword to decide whether it's relevant or not. So, in other words, he says to focus on the F yeah keywords. I'm not going to curse, but I think you know what I mean. The F yeah keywords that make sense, right? When people search for your product, rather than diluting your budget across the less relevant keywords with low conversion rates and wasting your money and dragging down your conversion rate at the same time. Okay. And in terms of PPC, Dave Bryant also agrees. And when I interviewed him on how he increased his profitability in his business, he shared that he cuts out 80% of potential keywords and focuses only on 2 to 3 keywords for his PPC campaigns to get a higher ROI. So the takeaway, in my opinion, for marketing and Amazon PPC especially, is to focus on the most relevant or the F yeah keywords, these search terms, by using your brain, not just the data. You got to balance it out to decide whether they're relevant or not.
So that's what we're going to call this episode, the F yeah episode.
Yeah.
um, One other thing. Did any of the people that you were talking to play with risk evaluation? Like sort of evaluating and putting together a plan just in case something were to happen?
In terms of risk evaluation, some of the sellers, they said that they would place small bets initially. What do they mean by small bets? Rather than spending $25,000 on just one product, trying to launch that, they would place smaller bets, like invest only $2,000 to $3,000 on product A, and $3,000 on product B, $3,000 on product C. So this way, rather than just having one chance, going up to the plate swinging once, they can have like 5 swings, they can have 6 swings. So that's one way that I see sellers measure risk to try to reduce that. But I'm curious, what do you think, Norm?
Well, let's say we hear an update. So maybe it's the uppercase on bullets. Okay.
Yes.
It's not much of a risk, but we'll have somebody take a look at it. We work with a project management tool called Teamwork, where it allows us to create notepads.
I use Teamwork as well.
Oh, okay. So the notepad, and you can add links.
I actually never have tried the notepad. I only use chat and project management.
That's where all our reviews are, by the way. We put all our reviews in there. So in case Amazon screws up, we have something proving that they are real reviews and not generated reviews. So we put the full link in. We can generate a report at any time. And then we can send it to Amazon saying, look, these 300 reviews that you just took away, they're all legit. Because they will say, oh yeah, we made a mistake, but try to get the URLs back. It's not going to happen.
Right.
Unless you have them. So, but what we'll do is we'll take much bigger, let's say there's a full suspension, and we've already done a risk review, a risk evaluation. Okay, is there a plan of action? What does that plan of action look like? Who do we contact? What's the time period? And it'll actually be kind of like an SOP to do it. If it's something minor like the new uppercase in your bullets, okay, that's evaluated, put into a notepad, attached to an SOP, what to do just in case. So it's a bit of time, but it saves a lot of time and stress, a lot of stress.
Yeah, that's a great tip. I mean, definitely just documenting all of that evidence, having the reviews. So if something does happen, you have that.
Yeah. And by the way, Gary, I don't know if you agree or not, but let's say that there is something major that happens, and like it's taken hours, not days or months. I will immediately contact an expert. I don't care if it's a good product. I don't care if it's $1,000. I don't care if it's $5,000. I got to get that product up. I've seen Amazon sellers not do anything for a week or 2 weeks trying to figure out the pesticide thing when at the beginning, when they didn't tell you what to do and take the bloody course, they sat there, hands on, just sat on their hands, and they missed out on tons of sales because it was expensive to get a company involved that are experts in solving these issues.
Yeah, yeah.
So take the hit.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, you got to quantify it. If you're like a six-figure business and every day you're selling like $1,000, if you sit on it for 7 days, that's like $7,000 of lost sales, right? If you're just paying an expert $1,000 to fix the problem, they can do it in 2 days. That you're still coming out ahead.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, it's just math. So
yeah.
No, I agree 100%.
Okay, so this has been really good. Let's see. At the end, like when it's all said and done, was there that nugget that you just went, "Wow, that was incredible"?
I think one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that selling your business, right? The end game, this could be your biggest payday ever, right?
Mm-hmm.
More than the salary you're paying yourself. But at the same time, you got to be smart to get a higher multiple on this. So I interviewed many seven-figure sellers that exited, and other also on the buying side, not just on the selling, so on the buying side. And we also have Thrasio, who's one of the biggest Amazon acquirers, who's sponsoring the Seven-Figure Seller Summit. So quick shout out to them for helping to make this event happen. But definitely, if you were, I mean, it's kind of crazy right now, because I don't know about you, Norm, but if you were to mention that you want to sell an Amazon business back in like 2015, I mean, most people thought you're crazy, right? Who in their right mind would buy an Amazon business, right? But now the landscape has shifted significantly. More and more Amazon businesses are now considered legitimate investment vehicles, as more investors, or like the smart money, as they say, are getting in on the action, from retirees to institutional investors. But there's one thing that you might not be aware of, and then this is there's a big problem if you're considering exiting, is there's actually an abundance of Amazon businesses on the market. Okay, this is according to Corin Woodmass. He's the FBA broker. And then there's also like a sell-through rate. It's not that high. This was from about a year ago, but it was 23% sell-through rate. Okay, so that means less than 1 in 4 Amazon businesses that go to the market are actually sold. So in other words, there's more sellers than buyers. So the key question is, what can you do to increase your chances of selling and getting a higher multiple? So I spoke to a number of Amazon sellers and also people on the buying side. And so first, you want to have a tightly focused brand portfolio of products. Okay, so again, not just one hero product and some lesser scattered products. And then the products should be appealing to a common target audience, and then the products should complement each other. So I think a good example of this is Dollar Shave Club, right? I mean, obviously, Norm, you don't need Dollar Shave Club, right?
No, that's my kryptonite.
Yeah, but this was it literally was a direct to consumer private label product, and it was acquired by one of I think it was Procter and Gamble, for some insane amount of money. Why? Because they had a very tight, cohesive brand of products. They appealed to a target audience, and then the big brand Procter and Gamble, they didn't market well to this audience. So by acquiring this business, they instantly were able to buy access to that market, by acquiring that brand. Okay. And then next, in terms of the numbers, okay, buyers like to see net margins of 30% or higher. So please excuse the background noise. I have a toddler. We're working from home right now.
No problem.
So we got to wrap up soon.
Yeah.
That's my 2-minute warning. So buyers, they like to see net profit margins of 30% or higher. Okay. Thin margins are not attractive to buyers and may cause your business to be skipped over by potential buyers. buyers. Okay. And then in addition, buyers like to see diversification of sales away from Amazon. So you mentioned this point earlier. They want to see at least 30% away from Amazon. So it's less risk for them. So in other words, don't have all your eggs in one basket. So this can be in the form of different platforms like selling on Shopify or your own website, Walmart, etc., or even selling in different marketplaces like Europe. Okay. And then finally, give them something they can improve on. So by leaving some upside in the business that the buyer can come in and take action on, this will increase your chances of selling your business and increasing your multiple. This is according to Michael Michelini. He's with Alpha Rock. So for example, you may have a few more vetted products in your pipeline that you haven't been able to develop because of lack of cash flow or lack of time. But the buyer can come in, they can get these products manufactured and sold to immediately boost the sales. So the takeaway, you really have to, in order to sell your business, you need to have a tightly focused brand of products. You want to have net margins above 30%. You want to diversify your sales so it's not too risky for the buyer, and also give the buyer some upside to increase your selling price and boost your multiple.
All right. Perfect. Well, you made it. You're going to go to lunch. Hey, why don't we end off with telling everybody about the Seven-Figure Seller Summit and how to get in touch with you?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Norm and Kelsey, for having me on this podcast, Lunch with Norm. It's been an honor, and I hope this has been useful for everyone listening and watching today. But this is only my personal, top takeaways, right? It's literally just the tip of the iceberg from all of the valuable information and the valuable experience from all these interviews that we did. So to learn more, you can view the full interviews. You can get a free pass at sevenfiguresellersummit.com. We're launching February 8th through the 12th. And I hope to see you guys there so you can build, you can scale, and you can exit your Amazon and e-commerce business.
That's fantastic. All right, sir. I'll let you get back to your family, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Awesome. Thanks again, Norm. Thanks again, Kelsey. We'll see you guys soon.
All right. Hey, Kels, you're there. See you later, Gary. Okay. How are you, sir?
Pretty good.
You're back. I was throwing some insults at you a little earlier on. You didn't come on.
I stayed in my little shell.
Oh my gosh. Were you in the fetal position?
Yep. Under the table.
That was great. So, that was perfect timing too. So I know Gary's in Japan, and we tried to squeeze this in. So it's going to be I think it's going to be a really great event, and you can't beat the price. It's going to be free. So, anyways, check it out. We will be promoting something onto our in our Facebook page and in our group. So I think that's it. This is a special episode. We just wanted to have an interview with Gary, and it's so incredible to hear what other top sellers in Amazon are doing so we can learn from them. So I don't know if you have anything else on that, Kels.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great opportunity. And I know, just being someone who watches these e-com and Amazon experts every day, or with the podcast, I don't even sell on Amazon, and I'm learning so much from the experts and their takeaways. And I'm sure you can see some consistencies throughout all the different experts, and kind of pick your top tips and really dive into them. But I think it's a great opportunity.
Yep. Okay. So that's it for today. Tune in every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time, except for the special episodes. And thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Lunch with Noah.